Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach is a confusing mess of a game, but I'm gonna settle one of its biggest confusions, hopefully. Vanessa and Vanny. Are they the same person? Since the game came out, I always assumed everyone was on the same side about this. I thought it was obvious that Vanny was the part of Vanessa that had been taken over by Glitchtrap, expressed through a separate personality and a fursuit. But apparently it's not. I mean, look at this poll I took, and listen to the FNAF livestream on Game Theory channel.
That's interesting. It seems like general consensus, one and the same. Yes, we feel good? No, Jordan, you shook your head?
Original intent.
Like half of them think it's two different people. So today I'm going to tally up all the evidence piece by piece and discuss it on both sides, and pick which one makes more sense. Then I'll add up the points and see who wins. Cards on the table? I think Vanny and Vanessa are the same, so I have some bias here, but I'm going to try and remain objective. Before we get too deep, hey, I'm Ritos. I do videos on gaming and stuff and stream on Twitch 3 to 4 times a week. Let's get into the theory, and this is going to be really inside baseball for the FNAF series, so if you need a refresher on the games, go watch my most popular video about the timeline, or this video for a summary of Security Breach, or, I don't know, watch like 5 game theories and get back to me. So first, let's start with the evidence within Security Breach. Let's start with the retro CD logs. It's directly stated that Patient 71 is Vanessa, but Patient 46 not only never talks, but is never even named. One of the more popular theories for the identity of this patient is Vanny, which I believe to be true. One hitch is that if Vanny and Vanessa were truly the same person, wouldn't they have the same patient number? The fact that they're listed separately implies they're separate people, and that sounds good, but the same person camp argues that 1. This different number could simply be used to denote separate altered personalities within Vanessa's psyche since they're seeing the same therapist at the same time by the same company, and 2. We're not even sure what these numbers mean. We're pretty sure the second 2 numbers are chronology, but 71 and 46 could be anything. Overall though, I do think the separate people theory wins this point. It does make more sense that way. Something else mentioned in the CDs are encrypted messages taking place by both patients. They're implied to be between the patients, and that one of them, the one not speaking, is manipulating Vanessa. If there are 2 people, then these tapes show Vanny is attempting to manipulate Vanessa through these encrypted messages. However, it could very well be Vanny's way of communicating to Vanessa, since she can't talk to her directly as they share the same body. This, in my opinion, makes more sense. If Vanny and Vanessa are separate people, Vanny could just verbally manipulate Vanessa and wouldn't have to send her messages. More so, the therapist believes that this is a program at first that just spits back messages like a fake conversation, so it makes sense if they were already inputted by Vanny. This point goes to shared body. Another piece of evidence, the quick change between the two that we see in the security office were taken to by Vanessa. This scene.
I'm trapped. I'll bet you think you're real clever, Gregory. Yeah, I know your name. You're in big trouble. This is not the night to be wasting my time. So, you are going to wait right there in Lost and Found until your parents or the police arrive.
Are you having fun yet?
1 second we're being chewed out by the security guard, and then the feed cuts, and suddenly we're being threatened by Vanny. Either the video is pre-recorded, Vanessa is an expert at the art of quick change, or they're 2 separate people. Another piece of evidence being this scene in general. If Vanny wants to kill us, why would she capture us as Vanessa, lock us in a room, leave, change into a fursuit, and then come back and kill us? If Vanessa was Vanny, when she grabs us here, why wouldn't she just toss us into the jaws of a nearby animatronic? Because Vanessa is genuinely trying to help us, but Vanny isn't. The explanation for the other camp is a little tricky, but we'll have to talk about something I really hate to brick up. The novels. Don't worry, I'm only pulling out one piece of evidence and leaving the rest of the novels aside. Illusion discs. In the novels, these are sort of a deus ex machina to explain away overly horrifying or realistic animatronics. It's being a disruptive disc that messes with human perception and has a slight ringing noise. Here comes the conversation no one likes. What if Vanessa has an illusion disc? She's unaware of it or is afraid to take it off because of Vanny and Glitchtrap. And Vanessa does directly state she thinks he's always listening, always watching. So Vanny uses it to quickly change into herself if she can manage to take control of the mind. Hear me out. The games have shown what looks to be illusion discs on the animatronics before. Look at this old speck on Circus Baby's endoskeleton in FNAF's sister location. And what happens to the player when we see Vanny? It doesn't really work well. Anyway, here's evidence that Vanny might be using an illusion disc. Which I don't like, but is very possible. Weird hallucinations and a high-pitched ringing. Not only that, but Freddy and the gang can't see Vanny, which is supported by the fact that the illusion discs work on humans. So Vanessa is walking around, and suddenly Vanny takes over, hits the illusion disc, and quick changes like that into her Vanessa alter. As far as Vanessa capturing us while Vanny's trying to kill us, it really comes down to the urge to save versus the urge to kill within Vanessa, and why Vanessa would save us and then try to kill us as Vanny. The reasoning here would be the split personality of Vanessa. Vanessa's mind wants to save this innocent kid, but the mind of Vanny is out for child murder. Vanessa tries to save us by locking away, but Vanny can still get in easily. Deciphering this one is rough, but the evidence for the illusion discs being present is too high to ignore, so I think I have to give this point to the same person camp. Now on the surface, another straightforward piece of game evidence is the fire escape ending. Vanny falls from the roof, dies, and is shown to look just like Vanessa. But then we pan up to see Vanessa alive and looking sadly under what has become of Vanny and the Pizzaplex. It seems pretty cut and dry. They're two different people. The camp of her being the same person has to go a little outside the box to explain away this. The theory is that whether symbolically or literally, this is the spirit of Vanessa, sadly looking onto the body she inhabits becoming unusable, as her spirit and mind are still tied to Afton and the Pizzaplex, and we've seen ghosts in the series before. But frankly, looking at this cutscene as is, you gotta give it to the two different people theory. But that's not the only ending. In the good Vanny ending, you beat Princess Quest, free Vanny from Afton's influence, and see her mask left on the floor. Afterward, you see Vanessa greeting you at the exit, and the trio go to relax on a hill. This is the only ending in which we see Vanessa safe and free. The same one where we free Vanny. I can't think of a way to explain this other than Vanny just disappears and Vanessa is glad she's not killing kids anymore. The point has to go to the same person theory with this ending. Now this next piece of evidence is a little hard to refute. In the game when you find the Vanny den above Phaser Blast, unlocking the Vanny ending, Freddy literally says,
Vanny. It is very similar to Vanessa, and also Bunny. That cannot be a coincidence.
Like, yeah, the game just says they're the same person. The only way to explain away for the two people theory would be that Freddy's just wrong, and that's really bad writing, so point to the same person camp. Now let's talk about a little evidence from other games. First up on the chopping block, a bit of an esoteric one, these VR sisters. Okay, slow down. So, for those who've gone outside in the past several years, there was a spin-off beat-em-up game to make up for one of the security breach's many delays, called FNAF Fury's Rage, or as I like to call it, FNAF Anger's Anger. It's not canon, just straight up a funny joke, but the playable characters are the security breach animatronics, and Vanny makes an appearance. But so do these VR sisters. Now just because Vanny and the pro tags are here doesn't mean anything else in the game has to be taken seriously, but there's another boss that gives this evidence some ground to stand on. This thing. It's called Dreamgeist. It bears a striking resemblance to another blobby thing with animatronic parts we know of, but we can get confirmation that this is supposed to represent this, thanks to the design along the side of Dreamgeist. Keyholes. What is that in reference of? Well, if we look back 2 games to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, we find Candy Cadet and his occasional stories, all of which are talking about taking things and combining them together, but losing the original functionality. One about an eaten kitten, one about orphans, and one about a woman with 5 keys to 5 locks. She melted the keys together in order to open all of the locks, but of course, that didn't work, the key became unusable and she couldn't open any. At the time, these stories were thought to be allusions towards Ennard, an animatronic made of several other souls combined together and losing their original functionality. The same concept is used for this amalgamation in the basement. So, between design similarities, both being bosses, and the key reference, it's pretty clearly a representation of the Fine. The Blob. Alright, now that that's taken care of and we've established that the characters in this game can sometimes be linked to Security Breach, what about this pair of VR sisters? It's pretty weird. They're not an established FNAF character, nor do they look like one. Well, we know that FNAF Help Wanted is an in-canon VR game, so let's look there. FNAF Help Wanted tells the story of Vanessa, a playtester for the game slowly being overtaken by Glitchtrap and becoming subservient to him. If we're to take these sisters into account, then the game we play becomes something else entirely. An unnamed woman is the playtester, who slowly becomes corrupted by Glitchtrap. Her sister Vanessa is distraught in the sudden disappearance of her twin sister, and goes in after her, receiving a strange encrypted message, like we hear about in the therapy tapes. And that is who we are playing as. We find the tapes left behind, we see Glitchtrap, but like the update in preparation for Security Breach, we find a way back out. and we see the Pizzaplex and begin to hunt down Vanny, now knowing what's become of her. So that's how the two people theory explains it. How does the same person theory explain it? Well, they ignore Fury's rage and point to the other random bosses to discredit it. So yeah, I'll give the point here for two people theory. And if we expand upon that, it also shows that each ending in Help Wanted is canon for different people. The ending where we become Glitchtrap is for the unnamed sister, Vanny. The ending where we get trapped is Vanessa at first, and the ending where we escape and find the Pizzaplex is Vanessa at the end of her journey. The ending where we're trapped in the Freddy suit is probably the first tester, Jeremy, so another point to the two people for that plot explanation. Okay, where are we? Oh god. Okay, no, there's gotta be something else, right? Something that shows whether or not Vanny and Vanessa are two separate people. Well, there is, if we look at Freddy Fazbear Go. Otherwise known as FNAF Special Delivery, specifically the emails. Lore hunters out there will know that there are emails you can find in this game that give insights to the goings-on of the company that built the app and the VR game. But they also include a series of emails from Louis. Okay. Vanessa in the therapy tapes says Louis, but like, isn't this pronounced Louis? I guess I'll say Louis for now. Tell me in the comments. Sent to Ness, an employee who keeps triggering red flag alerts from her search history. Side note, Louis has a thing for Ness, but at times it gets a little too persistent, which feels a bit icky coming from HR. Like, who does she report it to? Anyway, Louis keeps mentioning that he's confused as to why, quote, one day you're researching flowers and the migration of bees, and the next day you type in, how far can a human being be cut in half before losing consciousness, end quote. He keeps talking about how Ness's behavior is sometimes odd, where she'll sit oddly close to her monitor as if entranced. This Ness is pretty obviously Vanessa, and if all these emails are true, it clearly shows that Vanny is within her psyche, can take over Vanessa's will, and do as she pleases. The only way to explain these emails with the two people theory is an identical twin to Vanessa sometimes taking her place in the office. That doesn't make any sense. These emails prove that it has to be the same person, and with the evidence points to 5 to 4, we have to go with Vanny being a fractured psyche of Vanessa inhabiting the same body. So looking back, either the first two numbers of the therapy logs are for different alters or something else entirely, the fire escape ending is showing Vanessa's sad trapped spirit, the VR sisters are either non-canon or metaphor for the two minds in Vanessa's head, and FNAF Help Wanted we play as non-canon, but the experience of Vanessa that we learn about is canon. Another interesting thing to note, these emails can explain why Vanessa was going to therapy in the first place. If Vanessa is showing strange behavior and searching, frankly, creepy and dangerous things, it wouldn't be unbelievable for a company who has an in-house therapy team to suggest her to go or even demand her to go to keep her job. One last thing of note I'd like to touch on, there are some theories that Vanessa is Afton's daughter. This comes from her tragic family story, her father's name being Bill and the last name being written as Vanessa A. However, I think it's a lie. If we are to assume that Vanny and Vanessa are the same person, the therapy tapes directly state that this is a lie. When talking to Vanessa earlier on, a therapist explains this tragic background.
I suppose I don't need you to tell me it felt bad to have a parent scare you into saying things that weren't true. He manipulated you. It wasn't your fault. It's really sad, but it's common for one parent to use their child to hurt the other parent. I know your mom after she lost the custody case.
But later in the tapes, another therapist confronts Vanny, saying that she submitted fake records, lied about her family, and had a happy childhood.
You can look at the floor all you want, but it won't change the fact that none of what you said in your file about your parents was true. The truth is, you had great parents, a great childhood. Why did you lie?
Vanny and her twisted devotion to Glitchtrap tried to change her own identity and legal history into being the late daughter of William Afton. The only one who found the truth was the most likely later killed by an animatronic. We made it through. This game is confusing, but I feel like I'm right here. Hopefully a DLC doesn't come out that just fully negates this whole video. We'll see. I'll have the tweet to poorly aged things on standby, but what do you think? Do you think that the like and subscribe button are two different people, or are they two consciousnesses in the same body? I mean, Vanny and Vanessa. Yeah, let me know in the comments below. And as always, stay toasty. Thanks again for watching the video, and a big thank you to all of our patrons over on Patreon. Thank you to Emberisk, thanks again everybody, and I'll see you next time.